I don't know. Are self-transforming elf machines devas? And what do I mean by that? It's a phrase that has been associated with him for many, many millennia. He encountered self-transforming elf machines, automatons, which are creatures or entities, perhaps, created by a higher dimensional level of the Godhead, made out of syntax, driving light, programming, cosmic programming. If your question address the issue of entities on the other side, there are definitely other sidely formations, and they seem to be such for many, many other people. I'm not in any, by any standards, sensitive. So if I get entities, then they are substantial, capable of defending themselves. And it's one of the most challenging parts of the whole psychedelic landscape. Most people can't accept the idea that disordered sensory input, recovery of traumatic memories, material, and forth on, what are we to do with an elf? That becomes a little harder to contextualize in psychoanalytical theory, even though Jung did a good job making said autonomous cell escaping from the psyche's control and presenting themselves as independent entities. I'm not sure he's ever seen a self-transforming machine. Are those Davic entities, do you think? And I don't have a recent experience on myself, I got more familiar connections to nature inside, and being hungry for this kind of transformation. And so, what you're saying is through your experience with pharmaceuticals, you have that experience where you have the and what if you're not, and it's the defining characteristic of the true DM flash. It's not subtle. These things mob you like badly trained Rottweilers. They come bounding forward by the dozens, by the hundreds. They jump into your body. They jump out of your body. They, and I thought, meaning it matters to maps for some degree of the archetype of the little people, the leprechaun, the fae, and being Irish and being Jungian. I'm willing to entertain a very special relationship to this stuff. But then in the Amazon, people using DMT that I studied, the reason they did it is said to have a connection with the little contact people with these beings. And it conforms to, let's say, the model, the small, the living under the hills, and when you're with them, you have a sense that you're underground in this warped Looney Tunes comedic merriment, manic, frightening level, sort of like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Bazook. They're friendly, but they play rough. And it's a land of explosion and falling, enveloping, uh, folding on itself. The overwhelming feeling is that love, but I spell it LUV to distinguish it from the ordinary kind because it's about the syntax. This crazy childish affection, affective, delighted, and having me in their presence. Now, that also corresponds with the Irish model of worldwide decor, living creatures, little people in the woods. Those, what's happening that is not mappable onto fairyland or leprechauns or Finhornian beings, anything like that is, I've never heard of this. It's the bees entities having an agenda. and it's a very curious agenda. They use a language which you see. You don't think it's made out of sound. In other words, it's more pictographic. And if you see it in that state, and the entire point of the encounter from their perspective seems to be to teach you to do this. They want you to transform your language. They want you to speak Elfish. You know what? If you've never done DMT, you've only DM'd directly through this experience, then this is what it comes down to. You wonder what to make of it. And I've thought about this for years and years and years, and I don't know why this should be in an invisible syntactical intelligence giving language lessons in hyperspace. But that certainly consists in this fighting as a result. Several things about it. First of all, it is the most remarkable thing we do, I think. And we talk a little bit about epigenetics, about the behaviors. Chomsky showing that language changes the DNA, the deep structure of language that's like the assembly of the language level. Local expressions of language that are epigenetic, and it seems to me that language is some kind of enterprise of human beings that is not finished, that we've now left the realms of the Digs and the Elves and the Bildos and the Wondergast. The most articulate, brilliantly pronounced and projected English or French or German or Chinese is still poor carrier of our intent, a very limited bandwidth for the intense compression of data that are we kind of putting across to each other. It occurs to me from studying the Gluin, other people, that the ratio of the senses, the ratio between the eye and the ear and so forth, it's also not genetically fixed. There are ear cultures and there are eye cultures, print cultures and electronic cultures. So it may be that our perfection and our completion lies in the perfection and completion of the word.